Hey y'all, I'm back with another Cephalid Breakfast video. I'm going to be playing the deck that you see here in a Legacy League. And it's very similar to stuff that you've seen in the past with this 4 Tamiyo list. I have been trying 2 basic islands. Main deck, I saw Larson got a 5-0 with that and definitely wanted to give it a try. And while that felt good, the second island was coming at the expense of the Savannah. And I found that I was really missing Savannah, especially because I'm the type of player who really likes to get that basic island first. And Savannah is probably the best dual land to pair with that so that you have all your colors. And there were a lot of times where fetching the second basic island or drawing the second basic island didn't feel really necessary. So I'm going to be a little more risky with my mana to try to make sure I always have my colors a little bit more often. Otherwise, this list is going to look pretty familiar to everything you've seen from me recently. 2 dazes. As I said already, 4 Tamiyos, 3 plows. 4th plow is in the sideboard. I am back on the cauldron, and that's what I'm going to be running. Now, if you have a card that you really like in Breakfast, that you do well with when you play, if you want to see me run that in the on my channel in a list, you could leave a comment. Like, for instance, I see this Voice of Victory. If there's anyone who really loves Voice of Victory, if you want to see that, any card that could really seriously be played in Breakfast, I'd be happy to showcase that on the channel so that we can experiment and see what really feels good. And, there's a lot of cards I've tried, but there's a lot of cards I haven't. Or if there's anything like that that you have in mind, just leave a comment and just might try it. Don't do any foolish recommendations, though, like, for instance, this card here, Shardless Outlander. Probably not going to try something like that. So if you keep the suggestion serious and if you keep it good, then you just might see that card appear in a future video on the channel. Let's see how this league goes. I'm on the play round 1 versus Teddy, JamesKisau, so it's going to be a struggle. Tamiyo seems great in this matchup. Don't mind Plow. I like having Shuko. I wish I had a little bit better mana situation, but this is definitely a keep. Now, I'm liable to still start basic. My opponent usually plays Grixis Control, which is not on basic lands, but I know he's been changing up just a bit here and there. So I'm going to still just fetch, like it's in the blind, and fetch a basic island. Looks like Tamiyo is getting bolted here. Now, I don't have a lot going on, and I have this Narc Amoeba in hand, so I actually don't mind forcing this. I doubt there's going to be too many things I want to force, so let's see how this goes. This is a little aggressive, but I want to see if I can get a 3rd land so I can make constructs. Ugh, drawing another Tamiyo right after that makes me slightly regretful of that decision. But maybe this Tamiyo will get bolted again. And I'm going to play out the Saga, and I'm going to draw the card. Actually, I won't draw the card. I know I'm playing against the Thoughtseize deck, so I will play slightly into Orcish Bowmasters to play around Thoughtseize. Oh, there you go, Thoughtseize. So glad I played around it. Now, if I lose this Tamiyo and this Tamiyo gets bolted, that'll stink. All right, Swords is gone. Interesting. That does make me wonder if maybe a Baleful Strix could be in my future, or something that'll get in the way of this Tamiyo, or something more threatening like a Barrow. Well, a tapped land isn't amazing. I can still make 1 construct. Nadu, very nice. Okay. So I will make another clue, and I think I'm going to crack the clue now and then surveil. Ponder, okay, this is turning out pretty well. And another Tamiyo is not what I need. I'll put that in the graveyard. And feeling set up here for success on the next turn. My opponent could still have a Force of Will. And they did ponder and didn't shuffle last turn. So between that cantrip, this brainstorm, I would say Force of Will seems fairly likely. However, if I do not draw a land, this might be my last chance to Nadu guaranteed for a while. And given that I really don't think this is a Daze deck, I wouldn't mind that exchange. Let's see what we draw. That's his Oracle. Well, I like getting Nadu. Let's put him to the test. If I get a Force of Will out of this exchange, that's going to feel okay. Obviously, I would rather Nadu resolve. That would be pretty game-ending if so. Let's just see. Removal on Tamiyo would also be pretty decent. That would keep me off of a couple cards. Edict. Yep, Edict is fine. I have another Tamiyo. Alright, Nadu resolves. I wonder if next turn there could be some sort of Snapcaster Mage for Edict. Because it seems strange to cast that at that time. Well, now I get to cast my second Tamiyo. And, yeah, they scoop it up. Awesome. So against Grixis Control, I'm just going to assume there's no Wastelands. I want Flusterstorm. I want the other Cavern. Maybe like a one piece of Graveyard Hate. I could see Pithing Needle being good against Kaito, but maybe not against anything else. I'll see what pawn I want in. I might want these endings. And maybe this Swords. So these are all kind of maybes. With two for sure's. Like I definitely want Cavern and Flusterstorm. With that in mind, I don't think I want Daze. I can probably take out one Force of Will. Fourth Sword's probably not going to happen. I think I want all my lands. And I still have 3 more cuts. I don't think Needle's going to be that good. And I'll go down to 2 swords and I'll take out 1 Ponder. I think this is fine. I could maybe see no Cauldron, but there's such a good chance that either I can shut off stuff from their graveyard or my Nomads in Core ends up in the graveyard and this could be really good. So let's see how Cauldron works out. On the draw for game 2 with an excellent hand. The Thoughtseize could really pick this apart, sadly, but ending will buy some time. I have my mana, and it seems like only a matter of time before I recover if that's the worst that happens. My opponent is passing the turn, it seems, so I guess I'm dodging Thoughtseize. Always a sigh of relief, so definitely more likely than that they have a Bolt. Second Nomads is nice. I think with the second Nomads, I'm going to go Nomads this turn and maybe Nomads next turn. Or maybe next turn, maybe I should just pass here, like play Flooded Strand pass or Meticulous Arc pass. And then next turn plan to double Nomads. That's probably better because it wastes their mana. I will play out the Archive and say good. Illusionist, I like that. Especially since if this is the turn where I get Thoughtseized, I'm certainly losing Nadu. Fetch in the end step from the opponent. And an Undercity Sewers. Keeping a card on top. Well, there's so many things that could be kept on top in this situation. This looks like a pretty obvious Bowmaster. So in the face of that, I do like double Nomads. Here's 1 Nomads. And I don't think it would hurt me too bad to get a basic Plains here just in case there's any sort of non-basic hating shenanigans. And I'll play them both out. Next turn I can get a green source and cast Nadu. Or I could even, if it makes sense to, I could play Illusionist and have a green source to hold up Memory's Journey. I imagine I'm losing one of these 2 in Orcish Bowmasters right now. That's fine. They'll put the damage on one of these. I'll move it over to the other one just to keep the Nomads that I want to keep. Now, if I lose this Nomads, that's going to stink, but playing on Nadu would be nice. Thoughtseize, yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe they don't have a land drop. I don't know if I have a preference of which one they take. They take the Nadu. That was probably the better take. And depending on the result of the rest of this turn, might just have to jam next turn. I don't love that, but if I untap with nomads, like if they miss a land, I think that's just the thing to do. The longer this game goes on, the more it's going to favor them. And if you want to play breakfast or just any sort of combo deck, you always have to assess every single turn. Like if the turn continues or if the game continues, do your chances to win get better or worse? And I certainly feel like they are getting worse as time goes by. No attacks. Interesting. Well, I'm going to play Cephalid and see what they do. That resolves. I'm going to fetch. Get Trop. So this means they would have to have multiple pieces of interaction here. Like a Force of Will, I can Memories Journey, win next turn. If they have nothing, then I just win, obviously. But I can beat one piece of Graveyard Hate, one counter spell. My opponent is not F6ing or anything. They are pressing OK through all of this. Now it looks like maybe auto yields were turned on, but this Narcomoeba, yeah, so they're definitely not F6. Okay, my library is empty. I'm going to cast Dread Return targeting Thassa's Oracle, and I'll leave the Nomads alive. It doesn't really matter. I just have to make sure Cephalid gets sacrificed. I lose to Stifle or Consign if that's what they have. But it looks like this is a Cling to Dust. So if they have Cling to Dust plus, interesting, tap, yeah, so Cling to Dust. And they have blue, so casting Force of Negation, well, I just have to act now, what am I saying? Or I lose my Oracle. Now, there's a debate to maybe getting Cavern as well, but I think I'm just going to go for the Oracle. Because if they don't have like a Force or something right now, they have to find it on their next draw step. So I would either be dead right now or it's up to just a Miracle top deck. Now, one thing my opponent could have is a Pyroblast, but I think, okay. All right, so they're going to win this one. That maybe wasn't the best spot to go for it, but I just don't feel like, based on what's in my hand, if the game continues, I don't think things are going to go my way. They're going to get a Kaito next turn, and usually once the Kaito hits, the game ends pretty quickly. So I think I'm not going to mess around with, I'm going to put one Daze back in and take out the Cauldron. All right, I'm on the play for game 3. This hand seems good. I can win turn 2. I'm going to keep. Hopefully I draw more lands, unlock more of my hand. All right, my opponent's also on 7. I'll get a Tundra and play Nomads. I lose the Nomads, no big deal. I still have the Saga to get a Shuko. Looks like I might be getting Thought Seized here. Push, okay. Ooh, man, I've drawn terribly. With this Oracle and already had the Narcomoeba in play. I'm just going to play out the Illusionist. What I'm hoping for is to draw a land and then I can Nadu, and that's really what I'm hoping will stick. But we'll see. If I don't draw a land here, this is going to get pretty ugly, I think. It's a bit of a pause here. I guess my opponent is trying to decide whether to remove this or remove the Illusionist right now or wait. Okay, going to my turn. All right, Savannah. Hey, what if this was a basic island? I would not be able to cast this Nadu. So that's pretty nice. Okay, play Savannah. And then I think I'll just hold on and plan to make a construct. I will go to combat. No, I won't go to combat because I could have Snapcaster Mage. I'm going to play the Nadu now. My opponent says do it. I will oblige them. And what happens? Pyroblast. Yeah, you got me. And an end step Brainstorm means they probably have like Kolagon's Command or something terrible. Kolagon's command where I discard a card wouldn't be that bad when I have such a bad hand. This feels like a pretty rough spot, though. Maybe I should have gotten to combat if the worst thing I was afraid of was like a Snapcaster Mage, because they wouldn't have been able to get anything off of the Snapcaster, and then they would have been tapped out of Pyroblast. So that was a consideration. Now, sadly, if this Savannah does not cast Thassa's Oracle, notably, so that's a little rough. But if I draw some sort of, like if I draw a Cavern here, that would feel great. I could just go off and then, sort of surprise have the Oracle. I could even do like a Dread Return for Nadu, Memory's Journey back some Force of Wills. Thoughtseize, sure. My hand is not very good. I guess I lose the ending, maybe lose the Oracle if they have Graveyard Hate. Alright, they discard Thassa's Oracle. I think that's the correct call. And just clean to dust right away, sure. I will make a construct, get a Shuko, equip the Shuko, go to combat, and next turn I might try to Dread Return for Nadu if I mill the Dread Return pretty early. Like I might just mill some cards and see what happens. It'd be nice to do that with Flusterstorm backup. Flusterstorm was a pretty good draw. Given how things have unfolded, I feel like this could be worse. Bowmaster, yeah. Now Dread Return line not looking too good. Sure. And they reanimate my Nadu. Pretty good. And I drew Dread Return. I'll just pass. Maybe they Kaito my Nadu back. I get attacked for 3. Tamiyo. I'm going to attack for 3. Maybe they double block. Jumping, okay. Well, I'll cast this Tamiyo. Tamiyo is pretty nice here because I get to actually start attacking with the Tamiyo. Even if I don't draw cards, I can start to clock with this construct pretty well. Looks like I'm getting maybe like an edict, or maybe it's probably just flashing back this Cling to Dust to draw a card. Pretty good. Okay. Petty Theft, my construct, sure. And they have a Tamiyo. Definitely block the Bowmaster. Alright, a land is decent. I'll equip the Tamiyo and go to combat. I think I will attempt to ending this Tamiyo. They get a card out of it, but prevents them from getting a card every single turn. Ponder. Yeah, that's good. It's not looking good here. Snapcaster Mage. Targeting something. Well, I can Flusterstorm, whatever that is. Reanimate. Oh, they're going to try and get my Nomads. Well, I'll fluster that. But it still doesn't feel good at all. I'm down on cards. My opponent has the clock. If I draw a Nadu, I might feel okay. If I draw a Nadu and they don't have anything. Next turn, as it stands, I'm taking 6. I just have to crack the clue. I can play the Narcomoeba out to chump if necessary. And they're targeting. That's pretty sweet. I guess I'll go to combat, attack. I'll play Narcomoeba out in case I need to chump. I probably do just need to chump in case they have a bolt. Maybe I untap and draw Nadu and they don't have it. I think I've lost this game though. I'm quite certain. This also vaguely leaves the opportunity to Dread Return for Nadu next turn if they Thoughtseize me and take it. If they Kolagons command me. Guess we'll see. I'm going to take the damage after thinking about it. If they bolt me, it's fine. Sure. GG. I'm on the play for round 2. Sure, this hand's fine. I'll play a Tamiyo. Basic Island Tamiyo. if I have to force something, I have to pitch the Illusionist, which would suck. But that's only if I have to force something this turn. My opponent fetches Misty Rainforest, Tundra. So I'm probably losing Tamiyo. That's fine. That's not a very good draw. I really want another blue card or land. My opponent plays Snow-Covered Forest. Pass Ponders. This could be like a Nadu deck. Could be like a Beanstalk deck. My opponent did not shuffle off of their Ponder. Well, blue card was nice. I'm just going to pass the turn and play Illusionist on my turn. It's possible that I draw another blue card and can have Force plus days, and so if they're able to interact with my Illusionist before I draw that card, that would be a bummer. Okay, my opponent has a Nadu. That's fine. I like how they tapped out. I still want another blue card. A land. And Thassa's Oracle is in my hand, which is awkward. And I don't have play Cephalid. Cast Days. Cast Nomads. I'm going to start milling myself and try to hit a Nadu. Like Dread Return for Nadu. My opponent didn't just concede, which is fine. I can't win right now. There's Dread Return. And I already have a Nadu in my bin, but I want to hit another Narcomoeba. Okay, there we go. All right, so what I'm just going to do is Dread Return for Nadu. Sack these things. And hopefully this will prevent them from getting... okay, so I have to pass with 8 cards in hand. I guess now I'll still put the Oracle... I'll just put a Swords in the graveyard with all these swords. It's very likely next turn I'll be able to cast Oracle. My opponent taps their white sword, or I guess this is only their only non-green source, so just have to see if they have another one and a Nomads or something like that. Okay. If they have Nomads plus Force of Will, we have a game here. I still have a Force of Will in my deck. Alright, so I'll be able to cast Thassa's Oracle next turn. They can Swords Nadu as well, if that's what makes sense. Alright, I'll just Swords Nadu. They only get 1 trigger. I'm fine with that. They hit Dryad Arbor. So now if their last card's a Force of Will, I have the Force. Then I can untap and win. But my thought process with this is, let's say they force, and then they actually force my Oracle. That's going to make my life hard. So I thought this was a little bit safer. And now I can cast Oracle and should be able to get the rest of the cards out of my deck. So I'll play Island. I'll cast Cephalid Illusionist. And then do all of this stuff first. And I'll just do this now. Cast Oracle. My Devotion to Blue is 4. So I'll target the Illusionist 1 time. And then let this resolve. Cool. That game won despite having Thassa's Oracle in hand on a turn where I couldn't really cast it. And I kind of lost sight of that. Like, I could have played that Illusionist the turn before, and then if I drew the blue source, cast Oracle, but I didn't. It is good that I had the Nomads because I had enough creatures to keep Nomads and Nadu in play after a Dread Return, and that was backed by Force of Will. And even if I had to pitch the Illusionist to Force of Will to let that resolve, I think that would have been acceptable. So against Nadu decks, I definitely want all my removal. Maybe Flusterstorm, Cavern. And I always like having Needle and Cauldron. I can always Needle a Nomads. If I have to, Cauldron can get a Nomads. It can play around Needle. And I'll say maybe Flusterstorm. I'm going to get rid of at least a couple copies of Force of Will, because this might be like a Teferi deck. We did see Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor often indicates Gaia's Cradle, which then Force of Will would be better. They still have Allosaurus Shepherd. And then I'll take out a couple Tamiyos. Actually, I'll take out one Tamiyo, one Cephalid. This hand seems great. Definitely going to keep it. I can keep them from their combo with these multiple pieces of interaction, and then I can just do my Planeswalker thing or draw a bunch of cards with Tamiyo. My opponent starts with Hedge Maze. It's tempting to hold back on Tamiyo since I have Brainstorm to protect it. And I like all the cards in my hand, so this Brainstorm doesn't feel as high pressure. I'll just go Tundra Pass. I'll play into Tamiyo once I feel secure about the board state. Brainstorm from the opponent. And passing the turn after the Brainstorm. Dread Return. Well, now I need this Brainstorm a little bit more. I think I'll wait even one more turn on the Tamiyo. Give it to Teferi this turn, that would suck, but if they minus the Teferi, they're not minusing it on Tamiyo, and I can ending it. So this is maybe unnecessarily conservative with Tamiyo. That really is my game plan. So I'm willing to be patient with Teferi. I think in the face of Teferi, I'll Brainstorm now. Put back Dread Return and a 4th land. And they get their Teferi. Hopefully they just plus. Now, plussing there does suggest that they have maybe a Force of Will. Because I think if you go into a turn where I'm liable to untap with 3 mana and I haven't played anything, I'll top the Nomads. You better have something. Maybe it's Graveyard Hate. So I'm going to get Savannah, get my colors all assembled, and I'm going to attempt to ending Teferi. If they get no value off it, that feels pretty good. If they force here, that feels okay. If they force to protect it and they have Nadu and Nomads next turn, I'm definitely screwed. But there was no way to avoid that. If I play Needle, they force pitch Brainstorm. If I Needle, they just bounce it. If I Needle, I would have to Needle Teferi. Keen-Eyed Curator, sure. And my opponent continues to plus with Teferi. Okay. So they didn't have a land list turn. That means I think it's unlikely the next turn I lose to like a Nadu and Nomads. I'm going to Swords Keen-Eyed Curator. Needle Teferi. And I'm going to play this Tamiyo. Maybe the Tamiyo gets hit with a Swords. And then I can stick my combo. It stakes that I'll probably have to let this Teferi live forever now. But I won't draw a Force of Will or any dead card or anything like that. They tap out for a Nadu here. That'd be nice. Okay, you have a Nadu. All right, well, I feel like I cannot, in good conscience, pass the turn. I'm going to lead on Cephalid, and then I'm going to play Nomads, so that if they force a will, they force the Nomads, and then Cauldron can pick it up next turn. Here's Cephalid. Here's Nomads. Fetch a green source. Try to win the game. Now, if they have Graveyard Hit, I can't cast Memory's Journey in response, so I'll just lose. But I don't want to let them have Teferi in play and Nadu in play and then get a turn to untap. So I'm going to do what I can to stop that. This is another instance of picking my spot and trying to make a judgment on the likelihood of me winning right now versus if I let the game continue. And this feels like a good spot. My opponent scoops it up. GG. I'm on the draw for round 3 with a nice hand on the draw. Got the Force of Will, got Tamiyo. I'll need to find a Nomads or Shuko to really complete this, but I like this. Plains and Voltaic Key, very interesting. That's definitely not a play I've ever seen before, so I'm a little confused. Still going to go for the basic island. I'll go for the basic island. I'd be pretty ruined if they happen to have Wasteland. But I like having Force of Will, pitching a Nadu. I like having Days. Mox Opal. Another Painter Serve. Interesting. 2 cards left in hand. I can just probably keep them off of Grindstone. That's fine. If I draw a green source, they can't win. Anytime you're playing against Painter, Memory's Journey is like the best card in your deck. All right. I think I'm willing to wait a turn on the Brainstorm. It would be nice. Be nice to get this Tamiyo ticking up because they're not going to be able to pressure it with their board. And if I can minus and pick up like the Force of Will, that seems good. I hope I don't get Brainstorm locked. If they swords me, I have Days. Okay, awesome. I'll put back Hedge Maze. I'll just put back these 2 lands. I doubt I need Cavern. So I'll do that. This will flip. Having the green source is great because now Memory's Journey is live. I think I'll play the fetch land. Probably plan on getting Savannah off of it. So now if they do have Grindstone, I can actually just let it resolve and let them hit me. Portable Hole. Going for my Tamiyo. I'll force that. Pitch Nadu. Tezzeret. It's fine. Ooh, they played into Daze. I should have dazed that. Oops. Untapping Painter. Why not just minus there? Oh, it gives it a +1/+1 counter. Oh, okay. I'm still getting used to Tezzeret. All right, so they'll get to get a loyalty off of this. That's fine. I'll get Meticulous Archive and Surveil. Go, sure. So I guess I just win the game now. Well, I punted by not dazing, but Daze feels pretty good here. I'll just minus this and pick up Force of Will. Cast Shuko. Cast Cephalid. So the only card in Magic the Gathering I lose to from here is if their last card is Fairy Macabre. Alright, got there. Well, against the Painter deck, I like having removal. Needle seems good. Doesn't seem like I'm in Cavern. I didn't see any sort of graveyard hate. I like Consign. And maybe Force of Negation. I'll take out the Dazes. Though I think Daze is better against the Painter deck if they don't have Spirit Guide. I don't think I'm going to have room for Force of Negation. And I have 3 more cuts. I'll cut 1 Illusionist, 1 Tamiyo, 1 Ponder, just shaving off of everything, because I really don't know a lot about this deck that I'm facing off against. They have Karn. They certainly have Saga, so Graveyard Hate is likely. If I find that there's an abundance of Graveyard Hate, I'll probably just take these cards out. I'll draw game 2. This hand seems great. I'll keep. My opponent starts with a Saga. Well, if they go like Saga turn 1, Painter turn 2, try to kill me turn 3, that'll get blown out. Having drawn another Ponder, I will go basic island and cast Ponder. If I did not draw another Ponder, I would have kept 1 to hold the Force of Will. I like those cards a lot. Because I have Savannah, that means I go... I'll put Tundra on the bottom. That just seems like the worst card, and draw the Nadu. I doubt I'm going to need to play around any sort of discard. I guess a white Stompy deck could have Anointed Peacekeeper, but pretty unlikely. Grim Monolith, Tezzeret. I'll force Tezzeret, pitching Ponder. Now, one consequence of getting basic island is I now cannot hold up swords and Memory's Journey, but if I sword successfully a Painter, I won't need the Memory's Journey. I don't really want to play Nomads out when they're about to get a Saga to pop, because they can just needle it. And I'm not super afraid of Grindstone because I have Memory's Journey. If they do have it, though, actually, there is an issue because you 2 blue sources. Otherwise, like, I could put Oracle on top, but then I can't cast it. And then they mill the rest of my deck again. So you only have 1 turn to execute that. So in order for that strategy to work, you do have to have double blue. I'm still gonna just hold up swords. Hopefully they just make a construct. Or, you know, if they like sacrifice their city, okay, manifold key, needle. Probably naming nomads. That's fine. I have Saga. 1 ring. That's good. That's probably gonna kill me, if I had to guess. Alright, so here's Saga. I think I'm just gonna play out Nadu, spend my mana. Now with the Tundra in hand, I can let a painter hit me. I don't know what other win cons this deck has other than, say, big constructs. I don't know if they'll have really good removal for a Nadu, but I don't love this situation. I do like seeing that City of Traders go. I might lose Nadu though to his swords. Karn, that's good. If they minus though, I can pressure it. Okay, they tick up. And the grindstone, sure. So they could be going for the kill next turn. They would have to have Graveyard Hate in addition. Attack Karn. Play out Tundra. And I'll say go. I bet they have a painter in their sideboard they can get. Or maybe they have it in hand and they can get a Graveyard Hate. If that's what happens, I'll have to swords. But I'm just hoping whatever they do, they tap out. Tezzerret's pretty good. They're untapping their monolith. Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from Tezzeret so far. This card seems pretty powerful. Whenever I first saw it, I definitely didn't picture the nice interaction with Grim Monolith, where it basically makes it free. So that's pretty cool. All right, they have a painter. They have mana. I think if they completely tap out, I'm just gonna, I guess they're gonna go to my upkeep. I think it's just safer to swords it. They plus the Karn. They probably should have minused it to get Graveyard Hate if they have like a Tormund script. I am not going to let this painter hit me, just in case they have Graveyard Hate. It just seems free to do. It also clears the way for my construct to hit their Karn. And then Shuko can run amok. Going to my turn. Letting me draw. Well, now I can get a needle, but I think I need to try to win. I guess what they could do is they could block. I'll tap like this. And now they activate. I'm going to swords in response. Now I mill a couple useless cards. I'm going to get to kill their Karn. Get Shuko. Attack both creatures at Karn. I wish I could get some damage on Tezzeret, but that's okay. They could probably ultimate it next turn. But just starting off by drawing 6 here, and actually I haven't made my land drop, so drawing even more just feels super good. Force of Will. Nadu. I would love to see a needle here. I could needle the 1 ring. Brainstorm. Needle, sweet. I could ending this, but then I can't cast Nomads this turn, so I have to pass the turn with a similar amount of cards in hand anyway. I think I'm just going to play the needle, name the 1 ring, and then use Force of Will to just get whatever I need to here. And then I'll move the Shuko over to the untapped construct. And when I go to clean up, I'll discard Hedge Maze. Okay. If they are able to somehow beat Force of Will and Painter Grindstone me, if they also have Graveyard Hit, they'll win. But as things stand, I think that I am definitely favored here. My opponent untaps their monolith, so they're going to have a lot of mana. There's no real card I'm afraid of here, though. Like, they would have to have multiple quite good cards. Another Karn? Let's see, if I force this... If I don't force it, I can force whatever it gets. And just kill it next turn. If I do that, it means they probably have to tap more lands. I'll just let them have the Karn, it's fine. They can't really protect it. So I obviously could have forced it, but then I would be without force to whatever their next play is. And so if this card line requires them to tap out, and I have more complete information over what I need to point the Force of Will at, to me that seems better. And I just don't know at 5 mana what they could get. I mean, they can get a Painter. They could try to go again. I'll force the Painter. Pitch Nadu. Now, if I had forced the Karn, you might say, well, I'd be able to put more damage. And that is true. So I actually think what I'm going to do is just ending this Needle and cast Nomads. And now I don't even really need to worry about the Karn. My opponent kills one of my constructs. Sure. So they did have graveyard hate, but not free graveyard hate. All right, I'll draw a whole bunch of cards. I'm also glad to know that pre-combat so that I ensure that I attack correctly. So I've definitely played the ending of this game a little bit conservatively and maybe even loosely in a way. But my goal was to play with the most information that I had to ensure that I made the correct decisions, because I'm so up on cards. The only thing that would really mess me up is if I, went after the wrong thing with a Force of Will. So I'll attack Karn. I guess I'll attack Tezzeret, try to get Tezzeret dead as well. And I missed a point of damage because of this Shuko. I could have this Tezzeret at 2 loyalty. I'll play... Okay, they just scoop it up. Yeah, that feels like a pretty good spot for me. So, GG's. I'm on the play for match 4. And this hand... It's a risky hand, but I'll keep it because I can start with the Tamiyo and eventually get to the combo. I feel like with Breakfast, you can't be afraid of keeping hands that don't have the perfect mana. I think there's also an argument to just going Saga first, but with Tamiyo in the deck, it's nice to maybe have an opportunity to draw towards lands. Anyway, my opponent mulled to 6, and I'm untapping with Tamiyo. That's nice. Let's see. Having drawn Tropical Island, okay. Stopping in combat means perhaps I am not going to get to keep this Tamiyo. Let's see. Wow, sure. I think I'll take this as an opportunity to slow down a little bit and play the Ponder, because if I don't cast Ponder now, like let's say I go Saga, I'm just never going to get to use this card. It'd be nice to find a white source. Like if I find a white source, I could just win next turn, potentially. So... no white source, but I think these cards are good enough. So I'll put Island on bottom and then Illusionist, draw Tamiyo. Now, I didn't think to play around Thoughtseize there after the Tundra. My opponent has a Tamiyo. But maybe should have gone the other way. I guess the benefit of that is that if they Thoughtseize and took Illusionist, they didn't know that there was another one coming. And I think if you saw this hand, you would take Cephalid Illusionist. So slight upside to what I did, but I could have also considered playing around Thoughtseize. Alright, my opponent appears to be passing without making a land drop. That means they could have like a Brainstorm to pair with this Tamiyo. Now, since I have 2 Cephalids, in order to spend my mana here, I'm going to cast Cephalid and Tamiyo. That's really going to make them pick which one to remove. I'm honestly hoping they go for Illusionist since I have another one. And then next turn I can freely make constructs or draw a card. So they do have the ability to flip this Tamiyo. And that means that they're going to get to recoup this Swords before I can do any damage to the Tamiyo, because they're in a plus here, and then this has 0 power. But did they find a land? Okay, they found a land. Still possibly Brainstorm locked. Could be Breakfast, could be the mirror. If they target Illusionist, that'd be great as well, because like if they have swords and can hit it now, because I don't really want to draw the basic island on top of my deck. But it looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. That's fine. I'll go to combat. Attack with Tamiyo. And obviously if they minus the Tamiyo here, they know it'll die. But I think you have to, right? Like you have to kill the Illusionist in this situation. Okay, now they kill it. Interesting. If this means that they don't minus the Tamiyo, like if they keep ticking up towards an ultimate, maybe I can run away with this one. So this is like a Jeskai deck. Maybe like a Wizards deck. Blessing the Tamiyo. I think I will make a construct here rather than draw the card. Nadu. That seems pretty good. I think I'm gonna go Nadu rather than Cephalid here. Because now they absolutely have to answer this, and if they don't, then I get yet another crack at Kamu. Now they could have Dress down. That's fine. I mean, this was another card I was going to have to work my way through to win. I guess there's no reason to attack because it won't make the clue. So, and I should have re-equipped the Shuko to Nadu. Okay, now my opponent is going for the swords and probably hitting Nadu. It's fine. I draw Daze. I like having Daze for next turn. Sure. Now if they have Force of Will, they got me. But I can beat one Force of Will. Nomads, don't need Nomads. I feel really good about this spot here. Thankfully you can't pick up Dress Down with a Tamiyo. So I've milled my whole deck. I'm gonna cast Red Return. Targeting Thassa's Oracle. They have Force of Will, they get another turn. Force of Negation. Cast Memory's Journey, targeting myself, targeting just Thassa's Oracle. Do they have Force of Will? Dang. Alright, well they had exactly what they needed to there. I don't mind going for it in that spot, but that is super unfortunate. GG. In game 2, I like having answers to Tamiyos with Swords and Prismatic ending. I like having Needle. I like having another Cavern and Flusterstorm. Take out the Dazes. Take out one Illusionist. Couple Forces. One Ponder. I like having the Tamiyos. So on the play game 2, I'm going to keep this. Hopefully I can make some good Saga tokens. We'll just pass. Ponder from the opponent is really good. I'm glad they didn't have Tamiyo. Now, this deck is very liable to have some sort of mana hate, whether that's play with Shuko now. Whether that's in the form of Magus of the Moon or back to basics. So I think I will get like a basic island and a basic plains. Opponent continues to play off basics. Looks like they're ending Shuko. That's fine. Obviously I can get another one. And casting another Ponder. Tundra. I'll play the Tundra. And I'm going to fetch now. I don't think they're going to be a Wasteland deck. But just in case they are. I don't want them to be able to play a Wasteland. And then I have to fetch to make a construct. Looks like this could be a Teferi or something like that. Wrath of the Skies. So they want to kill my Urza Saga. That's fine. Shuko. Well, play Shuko. Another land. Alright, next turn my opponent will have Pyroblast. That's not drawing very well. I'll play Savannah. Teferi. I'll try to force that. Probably Pyroblast, but I have to. Amazing that resolved. Tamiyo. Uh, yeah, I'll play Tamiyo. Equip swords, or equip Shuko, see if they have swords. Well, my opponent is passing. Might be able to connect with Tamiyo. Dress down. Sure. Well, with Shuko equipped, I can still hit for one. But that still stinks. It's not the best use of dress down, though. So, I'll take it. My opponent is flooding a bit. And now they have to make a decision if they actually want to remove Tamiyo. They might have like a whole bunch of forces in hand and didn't want to force it. Illusionist, okay. Combo assembled. This feels like the better plan. I would hate for them to have like a hull breacher or something. I don't know. I don't think I'd play around hull breacher. I'll fetch this and get a basic island or basic plains and draw my card. Okay, brainstorm. That's nice. I'll keep holding it though. I'm gonna try to maybe draw more cards off this Tamiyo. And if they do target it, I have brainstorm. Now that the Tamiyo has connected and things are going a bit better, all right, this new card. Look at the top X cards, where X is the number of lands you control. Put one into your hand. If the spell is hit, put two into your hand. So they get two cards out of the top X, which is a whole bunch there. That's fine. My opponent's on 7 cards. Ending on my Tamiyo, I will attempt to brainstorm in response. Dress down, okay. That's pretty good. Oof. Double Narcomoeba. Yeah, I'll put those back. Well, it's tempting to play out this Illusionist to prevent me from drawing that other Narcomoeba. I think that's worth it. Just tap like this. I'll equip swords, sure. And then I'll just play Tamiyo. Say go. I'm hoping that I'm going to start working my way through what they have going on. I lost on Tamiyo. That's fine. Really would love a Nod or another combo, or another Illusionist. And my opponent has a Tamiyo. Okay, I'm forced to try ending this right away. Hopefully they don't have Brainstorm, but if they do, I can Shuko, equip, sure. So now I have to have removal for my Narcomoeba. Sure. If they do have removal for my Narcomoeba, then this is pretty good. Though, still a bit of a win if they have to spend removal on Narcomoeba. Alright, Tamiyo's gone. I think they just didn't think that play all the way through. I'll just play a Windswept Teeth and say go. Get a Surveil land. My opponent is fetching. Now they know the top card of their library, but they could also go for like an enormous 4th-year Lingus or something like that, which would be intimidating. Thundertrap Trainer with Offspring. Wow, that's the first time I've ever seen that cast with Offspring. It's pretty good. Brainstorm revealed. Pyroblast revealed. Well, this is the time to draw a Nadu. Haven't seen a Nadu this game yet. Get Hedge Maze. Don't want swords. Nadu. I'll cast Nomads. Finally play this Cavern out. And cast Nadu. Now if they swords the Nomads, I at least get to draw 4. They don't have swords, so I'm going to get to draw a whole bunch before that Pyroblast ever hits the table. Well, can't complain about a top deck Nadu, but it was becoming pretty likely with the number of cards I had left that I was going to see one before too long. And I have another Nadu. I would love to find the Oracle this turn and just not pass the turn back to them. Another Nomads. I think if they had Force of Will and force this, I would let it go. Sure, Brainstorm. How likely is this Flusterstorm to matter next turn? Probably not super likely, right? Because they would Pyroblast first thing, so I'll Fluster. This Flusterstorm will turn into 4 cards when Nomads resolves. And I get to keep going. And I'll continue to go. I'll cast Narcomoeba. 3 Nadu. Well, if they Pyroblast and Surgical me, that would be pretty good. Alright, the party's finally over. I'll hit for 2. I'll re-equip over to a Nomads. Because they have Pyroblast, so it's not like they're going to Swords Nadu. Brainstorm, sure. So the things that could really get me here is like a Dress Down or Consign to Memory. It would be really nice to be able to win without relying on Thassa's Oracle. But if I have like a Force of Will, that'd be good. Obviously, they could like super replicate a Consign. I'm definitely going to draw all the cards I can here. Probably just force Pyroblast. I would like to keep Nadu in play if I can. These fetch lands have to be dead cards at this point with the number of lands in play already. Swords. Rainstorm. And one more flip. Dread Return. I'll force this. Pitch a Nadu. I probably don't need all those Nadus in my hand. So next turn, the best thing to do is probably cast Thassa's Oracle, which I very much assume I will be able to find. In fact, with 11 cards left, I have a draw step and 10 flips right here. So I think I cast it and then potentially Dread Return back. Now, in order to do that, I will have to put in the Illusionist and mill the Dread Return. I don't have Lethal on board, though I do have them on a 2-turn clock. If I would rather just try to win with the cards that I have. All right, my opponent picked Wrath of the Skies. Well, I can't pass the turn back in the midst of that nonsense. Okay, so I'm going to start with Brainstorm. I'm going to put Dread Return back. There's the Oracle. That's pretty nice. I could maybe Needle Fairy Macabre as well, so I'll put back a Tamiyo and the Dread Return. And then I will uncounterably cast Cephalid Illusionist and target it right away, choosing to mill my cards first and then flip a card. Flooded Strand. I'll play the other Cavern from hand, named Wizard. And then my Devotion to Blue is 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be 6 with Oracle. So I'm going to cast Oracle. And I don't need to do anything now. I can just let it resolve. I can pass priority to them. And I got there. Okay. I think for game 3, I'm going to resubmit. I liked these cards. Tamiyo was probably the MVP there, providing that little bit of card advantage that took me over the top. I do like having Needle against other Planeswalkers. And I do think they have Magus of the Moon. I think that's more likely than Back to Basics. So Swords to Plowshares, super premium here. All right, on the draw for the last game. This hand seems pretty ideal. I can Swords of Tamiyo. I can cast Ponder. Lots of things to do. My opponent is mulling to 6. They fetch their Flooded Strand right away. Get a Tundra. And cast Ponder. Maybe that means they kept 1 land. Because they've been fetching basics. Like last game, they fetched basics. So that's what I'm reading that as. Another Ponder. That's totally cool. Cast it. Love to see a Nadu. These cards are fine. Not super exciting. But I like Urza's Saga. I definitely like Brainstorm. I'll go like that. My opponent is passing. I think I'll just play land and say go as well. This allows me to Brainstorm. All right, they're passing again. And I'll draw that Savannah. That's fine. I think I'll just play the Saga and say go. I'll Brainstorm in case of some sort of emergency. I only have 2 forces in the deck, so I don't feel like I should be cantripping relentlessly to find it. And I have lands, so like playing like Nomads and Nadu in the same turn won't be that big of an issue. I bet they get a mountain off of this when the time comes. They could also Wrath, but if their Wrath is just a sinkhole, I think that's fine. Sadly, the Saga plan is not that great with this being a multiple copy of Dress Down deck. My opponent is fetching all their lands. Looks like Teferi, if I had to guess. Bouncing my Saga would kind of suck. Teferi. I'm going to brainstorm in response. Use my mana. Hopefully I'll find a Nadu. Cephalid. Okay. Put back Archive and Savannah. They're very liable to... Okay, plus. Interesting. I will get the basic planes rather than Surveil. Force of Will. A timely top deck for sure. I'll cast Ponder. Yeah, I like Tamiyo for sure. I'll take the Tamiyo. Plan on fetching away everything else. In fact, I'll do that now. And let's see how this goes. I would love to be able to kill this Teferi so that Force of Will could be a live card. I think if I can kill Teferi, I'll be in good shape. Balancing my Saga. I will definitely make a construct in response. Cage, sure. And swordsing my 1/1. Yeah, totally fine. I'll play out a Tamiyo. I'll play out Saga. And I'll say go. Try to play a little bit around Wrath of the Skies. Actually, I'll play one Nomads out now that I've thought about it. This will keep the Teferi from ticking up and minusing again, unless they remove Nomads. And it plays enough around Wrath of the Skies. They could have a really beefy Consult the Star charts. Here's the Wrath, so that'll kill the Cage. 2 cards left in hand. Maybe they play out a Tamiyo here. No Tamiyo. Given that I have one more chance to Surveil, I will do that. And I'll play out Nomads. I still want to be able to pressure the Teferi a little bit. Surveil from the opponent. They're also coming up against the clock for sure. Like, they have no clock on board. I have a board state that's threatening to pull ahead. And we're getting to 6 minutes, like no win condition inside, 3 cards in hand. We'll get a Hedge Maze. Another Nomads. I don't really want another Nomads. Okay. See if I can get damage on Teferi and draw a card. Draw a card. Ending. I think I'll... I would really like to Surveil, but killing Teferi would also be very nice. I think I'll kill their Teferi. If this is a hard cast Force of Will, that's fine. I'm also sort of just trying to get them empty. So I'll go green, blue, white, ending Teferi. I think even if they have Force, they should probably let it go. Yeah. Well, now I'm going to turn off auto yields. All right, now I don't have to worry about Teferi. Now I do have Force of Will. I'd hate to pitch this Illusionist, but I could do it. Thunder Trap Trainer, that's good. Pyroblast, that's also good. Yeah, I have to let that go. Saga, that's nice. So next turn I could cast Cephalid with Force of Will hardcast backup. I think I'll Swords this. That's going to keep them off of Flame of Anor. Or it'll reduce the effectiveness of Flame of Anor. So I think I'm pulling ahead here. If there is something I can hardcast Force this turn, that'd be good. I should have played that land before casting Swords. And my opponent is definitely running up against the clock here. Ooh, Nadu. That's good. I'm going to cast Nomads. And I'm going to cast Nadu. I think if they have removal on Nomads, I let it go. Ooh, they don't. All right. Well, now this feels pretty wrapped up. Another Force of Will, and importantly, now they know I have a Force of Will. And now they know I have a blue card. I'm now going to make a construct in my main phase and get 2 more Nadu flips. Swordsing Nadu. I'm going to force that. Pitch Brainstorm. Well, and this situation is partially brought to you by Pyroblast on Tamiyo. So Tamiyo was really good bait. I think with 1 card left, I can force Pitch Illusionist and just reload my hand. If their last card is yet another Pyroblast, good for them. Awesome. Journey. If they have Snapcaster Mage. Alright. I should still have Tropical Island in my deck. But I don't think I need to play this Shuko out, like to get an extra life off of swords or something like that. My opponent is passing the turn. And I'm going to fill up my hand. There's Oracle, that's nice. I just don't want to do anything that's going to lose. Like running into, okay, they just, awesome, GG. I was likely, though, to just draw up to a full hand size and try to win with damage because I just don't want to do anything foolish, like play into a consign or anything that they could have when I was pretty rolled up. I did just have the 2 forces, and I used them last turn, so I would have been not able to dig towards anything except Flusterstorm as a counterspell. But obviously this was a great position. Anyway, GG. I'm on the play in the last round. Played this opponent a lot. They're usually some sort of combo player. This is not a great hand against a strategy like that, but I'm going to keep. If they have any sort of stumble and I get to make it to my 3rd turn, I should just win the game. I will play out Misty and say go. I'll plan to Surveil and then cast Nomads next turn. Gemstone Mine. Uh-oh. Well, they're passing the turn, it looks like. So obviously I want to find a Force of Will. Archive. Brainstorm, that's good. That'll put back the bad cards. So cast Brainstorm, hopefully find Force. No Force. But I'll put these cards back. I'll play, I'll get a Savannah. Play Nomads. And if, let's say, next turn they just Thoughtseize me, they're going to be in trouble. If they Thoughtseize me and then, like, Echo, I never mind an Echo, especially if I have, like, a creature on board already. So let's just see what they're up to. I'm a little nervous about my position here, but definitely threatening to win if they have to pass the turn. Grown Locks. Imprinting Beseech the Storm, or Beseech the Storm would be a fitting name. Beseech the Mirror. Fetching. Don't like this here. I hope they don't cast Veil of Summer. Plateau, wow. Probably casting Gamble. Burning Witch, okay. And not cracking LED makes me think they're either getting Thoughtseize. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm either getting echoed or I'm going to get to probably draw a lot of cards. My opponent says, LOL, seize proof. Yeah, kind of. I mean, but not echo proof. Yep. So, hopefully, oh man. Well, if I get a turn, I can brainstorm back the Dread Return. Looks like that's what's happening. So, yeah, I kind of like playing against Echo Vions because usually I end up with pretty good cards. Cast Brainstorm, put back Dread Return, Memories Journey, cast Cephalid, and I win. Yeah, anytime there's an Echo Vions, you know, if you're a Force of Will deck, feels okay. Like, especially if they've tapped out. I was pretty confident about that once Echo resolved, and this was a pretty good Echo. I would have loved a Force in addition to that, but about as good as you could ask for. Probably about average to slightly above average. Well, against the Storm deck, I like these 5 blue cards. I think I want the Macabres. And I think that's it. I think Vacuum and Cauldron are not only a little too slow, but it's not often that, like, if it's a Beseech the Murloc, like, if they get Gaia's Will, it might not be that a single card will take them off of that strategy. Maybe though, like, if you pick the right card, maybe I could see that being good enough. I'm gonna take the Tamiyos out, and with one additional cut, it'll be the Plains. My opponent says yes, echo proof to my hand. Oh, I can't keep this. Dread Return is in hand. Like, if I get a turn, it's gonna be good. Even though Dread Return's in hand. I think this is a keep. If they Thoughtseize the Ponder, they still have to beat the Daze. I have 7 forces to draw from. Now they are mulling a lot, which means they're probably going to try to find Echo and the LED, like basically just mull to that and try to Echo me. That succeed. But that's okay. And this is just too good a hand to put back. And Storm decks are not as reliably a turn 1 deck as it might seem. Here I am getting a turn. Flusterstorm, wow. Yeah, I guess I just hold a Flusterstorm and Daze. I can Ponder next turn. If they Thoughtseize, it'll get Flustered or Daze. How do we Backstreet? Cool. I wonder if they play like Worm's Chant and Silence, like those cards. So I get to Surveil here. And it shouldn't matter too much which one I get. I'll just get Edge Maze. Another Illusionist. I don't need that. Cast Ponder. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'll just put the Nomads on bottom. Draw these cards. Next turn, if I don't make a land drop, and if I don't have to spend any resources this turn, I could go to Cleanup and drop the Dread Return. If they Thoughtseize me, it's fine. They can take Cephalid, but there's no way they can read my game plan, and then I can make constructs, so I think this one's pretty wrapped up. Silence. What's the best way to handle this silence? I definitely have to counter it. If I Fluster, they can pay, and I can't afford to let it resolve. Like, if they just pay and I say, that's fine, and then they can't do anything, that's great, but, like, that's too risky. This means that I'm definitely not going to be able to put Dread Return back. I'll pitch the Illusionist. Now if they have another instant, I can Fluster that. Now if they have LED Echo, though, they'll get me. Passing the turn. And I'm drawing Force of Will and then Nomads. While Nomads is a pretty bad top deck, I do want to get the Saga going. I don't know. I'll be patient on the Saga. They don't have a lot going on. I honestly think that Silence was just a bluff. Because if they had LED Echo, they definitely cast it there. So my opponent kept a card on top. Burning Wish. For some sorcery. One card in hand. That's fine. If they just get Thoughtseize, they just, yeah, sure. They obviously take Force of Will. And then I can Surveil, get rid of that Nomads on the top. And Ponder is good, I'll keep that. Cast it. Cephalid, Shuku, Fairy Macabre. Well, I think a line on so little cards, like, unless they have Echo and LED, like, they probably will have to go through the graveyard to storm off. So I'll put the Shuko on bottom, followed by the Illusionist, and then the Macabre. And I'll play this out. And obviously I have Dread Return in hand. If they Thoughtseize me, though, I could, like, Macabre and Daze, and then they have to take Dread Return. And then I also just have Memory's Journey. When it passes 2 cards. I'll just play out Cephalid. Then on my opponent's turn, 3 cards, they're just saying go. So I will get to make a construct here. Get Shuko. Now, I feel pretty good about going for it. I'll probably wait one turn. They could have something, or they could even have silence and get me that way. So I don't want to play into some gotcha thing. And I'll play out Shuko. Leaves me with one unknown card, which is Macabre. I think that's a pretty potent one card for them to not know about, in case they beseech into Gaia's Will. End of turn. This is looking like a Force of Vigor. Sail into the West. What does this do? Each player votes 2 cards from their graveyard to their hand. I think I just dazed this. Sweet tap. So now they know the daze is out of my hand, and they're free to kind of do what they want. If Macabre isn't good, I'll feel a little bad for going for it. But also, this was this could have killed me, right? Because if I emptied my library and then they go for that, and they're passing, they're on a 2-turn clock. My opponent said, I guess you want to keep Dread Return in hand, and I said, it's better than dying, and they say true. Hit them for half their life. Go ahead and play out Nomads, and let's see what happens here. They have 4 cards. There's definitely something they could do. Dark Ritual. All right. Song of Creation. That's pretty good. They have 2 more spells. This could pass in the turn. All right. So if they pass the turn, I'm going to win. All right. GG's. Gaia's Will and Silence. Yeah, I guess they just couldn't cast those. All right, so this league was pretty successful with a 4-1 overall, and the only loss coming to JamesKisau, Teddy, who beat me in 3, winning both sideboard games. He's a fantastic player, so that's one of the things I love about Magic Online is you run into a lot of well-known players, a lot of really great players, and it's just a treat. It never gets old. You're always playing against different people. Sometimes, if you go to your locals a lot, you pair in the same guy you played against for 5 weeks straight, and you know what they're going to be on, and you kind of know how the game's going to go. It can get a little stale. Though obviously the nice thing about going to locals is you actually are like in the room with people and getting a bit more human interaction. So looking back at the deck, I felt like Tamiyo performed quite well in this league, particularly in the Jeskai matchup, either as bait or just getting a little bit of cards to pull ahead. It really likes Tamiyo a lot. Really ties the room together and creates another threat. The way I like to think about it is sort of like a painter deck, where a painter deck has obviously the Painter's Servant, which is usually like the game-winning creature. And we have that as well. We have Cephalid Illusionist or Nadu, the character that once it's cast, it just wins the game, or threatens to win the game at any time. But you can't really deal with that card if you haven't dealt with other things first. Like if there's a Goblin Welder in play, you can't counter a Painter when there's a Welder in play, because the Welder just gets it back. So there's this must-answer thing that comes first. And if you dedicate too many resources to that, all of a sudden Fable of the Mirror Breaker just comes and you lose to that. So rather than having a deck that's loaded with answers to things like too many Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Endings, I like having a deck that threatens the most angles. And Tamiyo in a pinch is good against almost anything. Like if you get a little bit of time against Storm or Oops, all of a sudden you're buying back your Force of Will. It's just so great. I would take it out against combo post board, but there's a lot of applications, even in game 1 against decks like that. And I really like playing decks that have so many angles of attack. And Tamiyo does not feel like it's diluting the primary agenda of this deck, the breakfast combo, right? In fact, it slightly enhances it, because maybe you have an Urkamoeba in hand, but you had an extra mana to play a Tamiyo, and now you have that third creature to cast Dread Return. So I've really been a fan. The sideboard felt great. Flusterstorm had some really good spots in this league. I was very happy with that. And 3 Force Negation, obviously great against the combo decks. Yeah, the list feels really good. I could still see some argument over fine-tuning the mana base, but there were also some really nice places where Savannah I thought was quite good as an inclusion. So I like 20 lands in the main deck. I've tried 21. I've seen some other people trying 21, but 20 tends to get the job done. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.